Hello everyone, my name is Christian, and with yet another update around the corner, it's time to talk about who you should pull in version 3.3 of Honkai Star Rail. There's a lot less characters coming up in this update, which is nice, but somehow there's a lot more to talk about since all the character options are gonna be pretty good actually. I really hope you guys have your priorities already set, or have a lot of money to waste, because this is gonna be a doozy. Let's get into it. As we get into all the characters, there is something I would like to bring up ahead of time. As I'm sure we're all aware, Update 3.4 not only contains Finon, but also the fake collab characters Archer and Saber, and their respective light cones. For those of you who may have HSR as your first gacha game like me, allow me to explain something real quick. Even if you really want version 3.3 characters, remember, they will always come back eventually. This is not going to be the case for the fake characters. Collabs cost money, which almost always means collabs are a one-time thing. With Hoyoverse specifically, the collabs they've done with Aloy from Horizon and Asuka from Evangelion were both one-time events that have never returned in their respective games. All of this is to say, if you want Saber, her light cone, Archer, his light cone, or any Eidolons for them, I would genuinely not suggest pulling in version 3.3 at all. Those characters will never come back. These characters will. Now, apparently the fake collab banners will be around for a bit longer than a normal banner, but if that just means they're around for the length of an entire update rather than the 3-week cycle, that's not going to make enough of a difference between pulling them or not. I wanted to touch on this briefly since this being Star Rail's first collab, it is a big thing, and I wouldn't want anyone to miss out on this because of a character that they don't really need or want as much. With that established, let's get into the actual characters present for this update. Our first banner for the update starts with none other than Hyacine and the Herta. Starting off with Hyacine, she is a Wind Remembrance 5-star. Since Remembrance characters are really 2-in-1 type characters, she is most similar to an Abundance character, having a strong emphasis on her healing ability. She is of course far more unique than just being a healer though. The way Hyacine works is linked heavily to her Memo Sprite, Little Ika, this fat little unicorn. Whenever Hyacine uses her skill, Ika is summoned out onto the field, and will restore HP of all party members equal to a percent of Hyacine's HP. Pretty standard stuff, but now that little Ika is out on the field, things get a bit more interesting. With this plus-size plushie out on the field, any damage your team takes will be automatically healed by little Ika, consuming some of their HP. Think of it almost like a Luocha heal if that helps at all. Every time that supersized Stallion or Hyacine heals HP for the team, it will be converted into additional damage when little Ika attacks. This is pretty good for obvious reasons considering your primary healer will be doing healing pretty often. While this will have a limit on it, this means Hyacine is similar to Ling Sha in how they are both reliable healers with extremely helpful damage capabilities. It is also likely that Hyacine will be a bit better on offense than Ling Sha will be, except in break teams of course. Remember kids, Ling Sha in break is basically Timu Rappa.
What?
Getting back to Hyacine though, the last thing to talk about is her ultimate. Whenever Hyacine uses her ultimate, she will restore the HP of all teammates and increase their total HP as well. If you look at the special program closely, you can see that Hyacine has a turn counter at the bottom of the screen. This max HP increase is on a timer and will last for 3 of Hyacine's turns. This ability, while not fantastic at healing, is incredibly helpful for an HP scaling damage dealer like, say, Castrus? She will benefit immensely from this, especially in combination with a Tribute boost. The same goes for Mighty since he drains HP as well, although, since he only drains his own, there is a bit of a difference. Using these two characters together though, with a Tribby, yeah, you're gonna be a god amongst men, no questions asked. While Hyacine is going to be very good, like almost every new character at release, she is very different to how a lot of other healers work. Her sustain is good, but probably not gonna match the raw output of someone like Gallagher or Luocha. With her massive HP increase, as well as her damaging capabilities, her focus is much more on helping to end fights quickly. If you don't have one of these premium HP characters, or are still new to the game, or just don't have much experience yet, I would really consider how much you actually need Hyacine. The last time I did one of these, I saved all the recommendations for the end, but today, I want to change it up to do it right after the character. That way, for anyone skipping to their favorite, because I know you all do that, they can get to that a little bit easier. When thinking of if you should pull Hyacine, this is how I would break it down. You should pull Hyacine if you completely lack a premium healer, or you have characters like Mighty or Castrus who would benefit immensely from her over anyone else. We can finally move on to Hyacine's banner partner for this update, the Herta. The Herta is an Ice Erudition character who is an absolute powerhouse in AoE content. Her kit is also one of the most interesting in Star Rail, with highly unique mechanics and some of the most text I've ever seen to explain abilities. Since we still have other characters to discuss today, I'll be giving you all the Spark Notes version of what she does just to get this along. Starting off with her attack capabilities, her main forms of damage come from her skill and ultimate. Her skill is a blast attack that hits 3 enemies and eventually spreads damage to all enemies on the field. This skill will also inflict a stack of interpretation, which we will touch on soon. Next up is her ultimate. This also influences interpretation stacks, moving the highest amount possible to the strongest enemy on the field before the ult goes off. As for what it does, the Herta's ultimate is a powerful AoE move that hits for 200% of her attack. Using this ult will also increase the Herta's attack by 80% for 3 turns. Last but not least, using this ult will advance her next action by 100% and give the Herta 1 stack of inspiration. Inspiration enhances Herta's skill to the attack Hear Me Out. This skill is far more powerful than her basic one, with a far higher multiplier and the ability to hit all enemies on the ending hit. The damage of this enhanced skill is also affected greatly by these interpretation stacks, which we can finally get into. Interpretation stacks are a huge part of the Herta's kit, but they are also a bit confusing, which is why I saved them for last. Every stack of interpretation increases the damage multiplier for the Herta's enhanced skill by 8% for the primary target and 4% for other targets. This multiplier is also doubled if 2 or more characters follow the path of erudition on the team, which they always will, by the way. The max amount of stacks possible is 42 stacks, with the Herta applying 25 stacks at the start of each wave, and 1 stack every time a new enemy enters battle. This means that at max stacks, your enhanced skill multiplier with another erudition on the team is 672%. Yeah, interpretation is disgustingly broken. We're not done there though. All of her major traces also have something to do with these stacks of interpretation. Once again doing the Spark Notes version here, Aloof Leonis will inflict a stack of interpretation every time allies attack, will regenerate Herta 3 energy for every enemy hit by an attack up to a max of 5, and will increase the ice damage dealt by Herta's enhanced skill if her primary target has 42 stacks of interpretation. Next up is Message from Beyond the Veil, and you know everything I just said? Well, double it basically. If the Herta is paired with another erudition character, all allies will get 80% additional crit damage. The Herta will always get at least 9 energy back from her Aloof Leonis trace, and after enemies are hit, gain 1 stack of interpretation on the target with the highest amount overall. Also, if it was an erudition character who hit them, add on 2 more stacks. And after all that, the last trace is thankfully pretty simple. With the Herta's final trace, every stack of interpretation inflicted gains the Herta 1 stack of the answer. The answer is capped at 99 stacks, and will increase the Herta's ult damage multiplier by 1% for every stack. My god, I'm glad I wasn't doing this when the Herta was first released. This was so much talking. While the Herta is definitely a difficult character on paper, in practice, she's not too hard to use at all, and is incredibly friendly to free-to-play players. All you need to do to get the most out of her is use her alongside any erudition character who isn't Himiko, Xingshui, or Rappa, and almost always do the pattern of any attack, ultimate, and then enhanced skill. In just about every instance, you'll already have max interpretation stacks and do an insane amount of damage to your enemy. As we can all see, the Herta is a juggernaut of a character currently, and is one of the best DPS in the game across all game modes. This is easily one of the most recommended characters in the game, and she's especially good for newer players who don't have as much on their accounts yet. So, you should pull the Herta if you lack a premium DPS from version 3.x, you lack a good AoE DPS for something like Pure Fiction, you're a newer player without much on your account yet, or you got an Nexa and for some reason don't have the Herta. A Nexa is perfectly capable of working without the Herta, but together they will be a perfect pair and significantly stronger. The Herta is a great character on paper and in practice, and this is easily one of the most recommended characters to grab, not only in this update, but in the entire game in my opinion. With those two done, let's take a brief look at the other parts of the banners coming out, the 4 stars, and the light cones available. The 4 stars available are Misha, Serval, and Natasha, all relatively subpar characters, but Serval can make a great partner for the Herta if you build her right. Little Herta is still preferred by most players, but both work very well. As for the light cones, Herta's signature is a strong choice for most erudition characters even if you don't want her. This cone can work with Jingyuan, Xingshui, and Argenti as a solid or even better option than their signature cones. As for the 4-star cones, the only one that can be considered pretty decent is the Hunt cone, shadowed by Night. This cone can be a great replacement cone for Boot Hill, and that's about it, sadly. Also, technically Sushong. Overall, not great for free-to-play players, so I would mainly focus on getting the primary characters and their light cones. With the first half of the update done, we can finally move on to the character I'm most excited about, Cipher. Cipher is a quantum nihility character with a decent bit to her. She's capable of dealing true damage, has a follow-up attack, and can instill debuffs on your enemies. All of that, and she can swipe the money right from your pocket with her blistering speed, which is likely to be a core stat for her build. Let's dive into what we know about Cipher so far. Cipher's talent is the most important aspect of her kit seemingly. This kleptomaniac kitty places a debuff on the enemy with the highest HP. Every time this enemy is hit, Cipher records this and unleashes a follow-up attack on that enemy. The damage recorded on this enemy can be seen just under her character portrait, so you can keep track of how much you've done so far. This tally is directly linked to her ultimate ability. When Cipher ults, she will not only deal her initial damage to the target, but she will deal additional true damage that correlates to the total amount of attacks the marked enemy took. While I don't have exact numbers yet, it's safe to assume this damage can be very powerful in the right hands. This automatically gives a synergy with characters like Fei Xiao and Ratio, as well as Acheron, who can all make use of this debuff, and who all attack or have teams who attack a lot. Moving on to her skill, this is a blast attack that allows you to switch which target has Cipher's mark without losing any of your recorded damage total. This also of course adds to your damage total overall, so you can still use it on the main enemy you want to hit. Cipher definitely doesn't have the same complexity as the other characters in this update, but her kit is still just as powerful. Cipher has a plug-and-play style that can benefit almost any team in the game, with her ability to greatly increase damage dealt as a support. Like I said earlier, your main focus with her though will be characters like the classic follow-up characters, or characters like Acheron and Castorus. These characters can do a lot of damage and attack fairly often, meaning Cipher will constantly be able to keep recording a great deal of damage. Cipher certainly won't have the flash of other characters, but she will undoubtedly be a solid support for a very long time. Now, you should pull Cipher if you need a character to help with follow-up teams, you lack a powerful teammate to run alongside Acheron since Cipher fulfills the nihility requirement, or you simply want a powerful support for one of your primary DPS. A lot of teams run similar characters, so having someone like Cipher to alleviate that trouble can really help out a lot. Finally, we can move on to our last character of the day, Aglaea. And boy oh boy, this is going to be a rough one. Aglaea, while one of my favorite characters to use, is incredibly difficult to get the most out of. I'm prefacing this at the start because Aglaea really is one of the most difficult characters to build around in the entire game, and it is not close. If you do not have Sunday and are not willing to get E1 Aglaea, I genuinely would not recommend the character. Action advance is crucial to her, and so is energy regen. She can function without Sunday or E1, but it does become far more difficult to play her at the best of her ability, or even close to it honestly. With that said, let's actually get into her moveset now, and learn what her strengths are. Aglaea is a Lightning Remembrance character who specializes in blast damage. Aglaea's attack capabilities are all tied to her Memo Sprite, Garment Maker. Aglaea's skill summons out Garment Maker or refills the HP of this marvelous mannequin. Once Garment Maker is out, is when the fun can begin. Every time Garment Maker attacks an enemy with Seam Stitch, which occurs when Aglaea attacks a target with Garment Maker on the field, Garment Maker will gain 55 speed, and this effect can stack up to 6 times. Garment Maker being this fast would already be a nightmare to deal with, but of course, it doesn't end there. We can now move on to Aglaea's ultimate. When Aglaea activates her ult, she will enter the Supreme Stance state and immediately act again. In the Supreme Stance state, every stack of speed Garment Maker had will increase Aglaea's speed by 15%. Aglaea's attack will also now be enhanced to the joint attack, Slash by 1,000-fold Kiss. This attack does lightning damage equal to 200% of Aglaea's attack, as well as 200% of Garment Maker's attack to the target, and it does 90% of both of those numbers to adjacent targets. So every attack you're getting about 400% combined damage, and 180% combined damage on adjacent targets. Aglaea also has a major trace that will increase the damage of her and Garment Maker while in the Supreme Stance. The Myopic Doom trace will increase Aglaea and Garment Maker's attack by 720% of Aglaea's speed, plus 360% of Garment Maker's speed, making for even more devastating damage. Now this all sounds pretty good I'm sure, so why be so negative on Aglaea earlier? Well, did I mention that ultimate costs 350 energy? And if you fail to reactivate before a set amount of time, you lose your Supreme Stance and your Garment Maker? No? Ah, my bad then. This is why Aglaea is so difficult to build around. She needs energy under all circumstances, or she needs an unbelievable amount of actions. Failing to have either automatically means you're going to struggle with her. She has a very short list of good teammates as a result of this. In terms of free-to-play options, your only options are going to be Ting Yun, RMC, and a sustain with Quid Pro Quo, more than likely Gallagher. When I say those are really your only options, I mean it. Energy with Aglaea is essential, and that's the only free action advancer in the game. When looking at premium options, it's a bit better, but almost every E0 Aglaea team desperately wants Ho and Sunday. This is the best way to avoid using an energy regen rope and severely nerfing her personal damage. All of this to say, while Aglaea is a very powerful character, think long and hard before pulling her. She is a difficult character to use, but definitely one of the most fun and interesting in the entire game. So, you should pull Aglaea if you have Sunday and want a good DPS, or you are willing to get E1 Aglaea. While Aglaea is definitely a very powerful character, because of how unfriendly she can be, it's really hard to recommend her too highly unless you have the right situation. Once again, make no mistakes though, Aglaea is one of the most powerful characters in the game right now, across all game modes. With our main two characters out of the way, we can now talk about the 4 stars and the light cones available in this half of the update. For 4-star options, we have Zhuai, Xingshui, and Su Xiong as our characters. Now, I might be a bit biased on Zhuai at this moment in time, but she is a very fun character to use who does get drastically better with her E6 available. If you're not a break team person though, I wouldn't really recommend any of these characters. Xingshui can also be good, but similar to Zhuai, she's far from incredible in any circumstance. Su Xiong is just, yeah. So anyway, light cones! Interestingly enough, the light cones this time around are actually fairly solid. We have a Remembrance Cone option in Genius's Greeting. This cone is mainly a replacement for Aglaea, but any Remembrance Cone is a good option when there are so few options currently available in the game. Alongside this, we have Eyes of the Prey, which is a Nihility Cone. With Cipher coming out this patch, this could have been a very decent light cone option for her, but realistically, it's going to be incredibly low on that list. This cone increases effect hit rate and DOT damage, but Cipher doesn't do that sort of damage, so it ultimately becomes pretty useless. Our last option is an Abundance Cone, and while it's a decent cone, I'm sure many of you aren't really concerned about it. Overall, some solid light cone options, but far from essential for most characters. If you do want any of these though, I would highly suggest going for it now. As a quick wrap up, all these characters are honestly pretty good this patch, so players may struggle a lot to decide who they want, especially with 3.4 bringing even more good characters. Just remember to either pull for what you enjoy the most, or pull for what fits your account the most. There's a lot of different characters here, but the nice part about that is, that means that you can easily fill any hole you have in your account. And in Star Rail, that's not something you can say very often. Good luck with pulls, everyone. That's all 4 characters and all the banners talked about, so we can finally wrap up for today. Definitely a lot of effort on this video, but regardless, I really hope you all enjoyed and know who you're going to be grabbing in the future. I've got plenty more good content coming up soon, so subscribe down below if you haven't, and I'll see you guys then. Bye bye!